Karanda. Is that the last name is Carly? And it's not your writing. It's just me. Uh, and then we have a Jeffrey Dubois, DeBauer. If the two of you can come, Superintendent and Madam Secretary, y'all can stay as long as you so desire. Or if you have to leave shortly, that's totally up to your discretion. Yes, ma'am. But I want everybody to be as sincere as you can. All right. Please identify yourself for the record. Whoever want to go first, you can go first. Identify yourself for the record and make your presentation, please.
My name is Jeffrey Barrois, and I'll be really brief. First off, I do appreciate a lot of the thought and energy that went into developing this plan. Unfortunately, as a teacher in Jefferson Parish and an old friend of Dr. Brumley's, I do feel extremely nervous going forward when I'm supposed to be going back into the classroom and dealing with the normal data. And I teach special education as well, so it's sort of an extra to it. But the idea of following through with some of the recommendations, I don't know what mechanisms we will have in place, what tools we'll have to carry them out. And I'm concerned that they might not be present at all. And then furthermore, when they have things like the sanitizing, that's critical for keeping our kids in our schools safe. I've been in schools my entire career where we don't have enough hand soap by the end of the school year, and I'm just extremely concerned in those kinds of positions and how things will go forward, and if I'll be able to go to school every day and make sure that my kids that I'm responsible for and are safe and healthy, and also my family as well. So I do think that there probably can be some filling in, but I do think this is a start.
Thank you very much. It's on.
Okay. How are y'all tonight? My name is Karanda Corley, and I wear many hats coming in here tonight. One of them being an administrator for Act Now Louisiana, which is a group of advocates and self-advocates that represent more than 900 families in the state of Louisiana, of parents of children with disabilities, as well as I am a proud parent of a child with multiple disabilities whom is medical fragile. And unfortunately, this here gives me great pause. It gives me great pause because we don't have a clue on what we're gonna do. So I took quite a few notes about things that we actually addressed tonight that I think that you really need to take into consideration. One being self-monitoring. Anybody that is familiar with Louisiana Department of Education knows that self-monitoring does not work. It never worked in this state of Louisiana. And nobody has ever taken into strong consideration into actually doing an outside company to monitor these schools, specifically our charter schools in New Orleans, which is the national model that has failed tremendously. So I think that is one thing that we actually should take into consideration. Number two, we are not adhering to Individuals Disabilities Education Act, which is also known as IDEA, which would provide a free and appropriate public education. Senator Jackson, I'm quite sure that you could appreciate that, considering that you gave a question about a child with autism. That is one of my child's diagnoses, and unfortunately, with the way we are doing schooling right now, my child is not able to receive a free, appropriate public education. That was not addressed in that 20-page bill, in that 20-page guidance or suggestion that was actually proposed here. And I have a problem with it because it did not address what our children that are medically complex and medically fragile are not gaining access to. Number three, we are not adhering to American Disabilities Act. ADA, nothing about everything that we have done dealing with this education system is right now in adherence to that. We just had a nice, wonderful presentation about LPB and the libraries, and like you, Senator Mizell, y'all can't gain access to it due to internet connection. We can't gain access to it due to it is not appropriate for people that have low incident disabilities such as cortical visual impairment, also known as CVI. So that is a problem, and it is failing to adhere to ADA, which is a federal law. Civil rights violations, we are having multiple civil rights violations because nothing about this education arena has taken into consideration our children with disabilities. If you bring children with disabilities to the table and you address their educational needs first, then we can actually adhere to providing appropriate education for every child in this wonderful, great state. Last but certainly not least, we have not looked at Every Student Succeed Act, which is also known as ESSA. ESSA is a federal law that requires parent input, parental input, and nobody has asked the parents of the children with medical complexities their input. How can we actually help and serve your child? And our children are constantly being left behind. And by our children being left behind, I want everybody to understand that the United States Department of Education did not waive not one single right for them under IDEA, which means you are federally required to actually provide our children with education. Last but certainly not least, I asked Mr. Cade and Dr. Courtney to stay because I am considering this as my child's individual education plan meeting. This is his IEP meeting. And by me saying this is his IEP meeting, I am holding every single person here legally obligated to provide my child and every child in this great state of Louisiana a free and appropriate public education according to every federal and state law we have. And to tell me that we cannot mandate, we have Louisiana bulletins that are provided every single day. Bulletin 746, Bulletin 1508, Bulletin 1706. You can make this a bulletin too, and make it a bulletin that makes sure it provides a true, appropriate education for all. Thank you.
I want to thank you all very much for your testimony, and the superintendent was here and is here.